So in this video, we're going to talk about what actually happens at closing. A lot of people understand like how to look for a house. They understand that you write an offer. They understand that you do inspections and appraisal. But then where it sort of gets muddy is like what happens at the end? How does the thing actually close? So we're going to talk about 4 things that happen at closing. We're going to talk about what the lender does, what the title and escrow companies do, what you do, and then what it means to actually close. First thing we're going to talk about is what the lender does. So the lender usually within a few days of closing is going to issue what's called the closing disclosure. This document shows everything about the loan, how much money you're borrowing, the interest rate, whether there's prepayment penalties, whether taxes and insurance are impounded and made part of your loan, et cetera, et cetera. You have to have a chance to review everything and say, okay, yeah, this looks good. Once you approve the closing disclosure, then the lender is going to draw loan docs. So they're actually going to prepare the note, which is the promissory note is the actual contract between you and the lender. Say, I'm going to pay you this much in these installments at this rate. And they're also going to have you sign the deed of trust. The deed of trust is a document that's recorded with the county that basically says that the lender is entitled to their money back before anything happens to this property. The lender is preparing closing disclosure, deed of trust, and note for your signature. One more thing actually that the lender is going to do, the lender is going to make sure that you still have a job. They will do a final verification of employment right before you close, because if you have a job the whole time and then lose your job on day 30, they will not fund the loan. So what title and escrow is going to do is the title company will make sure everything is, that there's no clouds on title, that there's no lawsuits pending, that there's no issues with the seller, that there's no issues with the buyer. And an issue could be like with the seller, could be that, you know, if your name pops up on like a terrorist watch list, these are things that title looks for. Like there's a lot of money that moves around. So that's one example of something that title is looking for. They're also making sure that, you know, in an example of like new construction, they typically want to see, you know, the costs of the construction and verify that all the subcontractors got paid so that the subcontractors don't show up and try to put a lien on the property for unpaid work. So there's things that title will do to make sure that everything is clean and clear title so that when you close the deal and you're the owner, that there's no issues with the seller transferring this property over to you. The last thing is what you do. What you do at this point is you're in touch with title and escrow and your agent and the lender and doing everything, signing last minute documents, including the note, the deed of trust, finalizing any, you know, random paperwork that your agent might need, and then wiring the remainder of the money that you need in order to close the deal. Now, once all of those things happen, escrow is also going to just check with title one more time and say, title, are you good to go? Yeah, we're good. Check with the lender. You good to go? We're good. Check with the seller and buyer. You guys good to go? So escrow makes sure that everybody's good to go and that everybody has performed the terms that are required under the terms of the contract. And once that's good to go, escrow is going to say, hey, title, you can release the deed for recording. And what that means is the deed of trust and the grant deed. The grant deed is the document that actually transfers title of a property from one person to the next. So if you write me a grant, if you give me a grant deed for your house, I now own it. So what's going to happen is title is going to take the grant deed and the deed of trust, and they're going to give them to a courier. And the courier is going to ride his bike or drive his car or however they move from one place to the next. And the courier is going to take it down to the county recorder's office, and the county recorder is going to verify that the documents are good to go and stamp them, basically recorded. And once we have confirmation that they've been recorded, that's when the deal is closed. When the grant deed, that's what transfers the property over to you. The deed of trust, that's what puts the lien on the house for the lender to make sure that if they don't get paid back under the promissory note, that they could take it back. And so what's going to happen then, the courier is going to tell title, hey, we got it recorded. Title is going to tell escrow and everybody else. And that's when the deal is officially closed, when the county recorder stamps the grant deed and says, you're good to go. You are now the owner. And then you meet with your agent, you get your keys, you pop champagne, you move your stuff in, and then the water heater goes out. But that's a video for another day. Thanks for watching.